Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Garage Connection. Today's video is going to be about replacing the hydraulic drive motor on your mini excavator. Now, full warning, I don't have a bad drive motor, but since I had the track off, I figured why not take the thing off, see how it goes on there. Maybe I can help somebody out in the future. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the drive sprocket, we're going to remove the motor from the mini excavator, and then we're going to go over the process of the replacement and how to get everything back where it's supposed to be. The first step in the process is going to be getting off this castle nut and getting the pulley off the tapered part of the shaft. So what we're going to do here, we're going to remove the little cotter pin, and then we're going to go ahead and break this nut loose. Now this nut has a potential to be barely hand tight, or it's going to be on there like Thor put it on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust Harbor Freight here with not breaking my knuckles. I'm going to go ahead and pop this nut off. Now if you notice, I am not going to take the nut all the way off, okay, because I have to hook up a 3-jaw puller to get this pulley off the shaft, and I don't want the pulley to fly off there and fall on the ground. So what we're going to do here, we're going to get our puller hooked up to the outside of our drive wheel. It looks like it might have just fallen off. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. It's barely on there at all. Okay, well, you might need this, you might not. All right, so we're going to take the nut off and take the pulley off. There we go. And now we're looking at the back side of the motor. The next step in the process is going to be breaking loose the 4 mounting bolts that hold the motor into the housing. Now, if you are doing this because you have a motor failure or whatever, I recommend undoing the hydraulic hoses first. I don't have a problem. This is purely for demonstration purposes. I'm going to leave these connected, okay? But either way, take these off if you're actually going to be doing this for real. That way it doesn't fall and break the hydraulic hoses. We have our drive motor removed from its housing right now. So what would happen from this point forward, obviously you would swap the hydraulic hoses over and you'd put your new motor in, and we're going to go through the process of reinstallation and torquing the motor to spec and putting the drive sprocket back on the outside of it. Now, before we get too far into this video, I want to talk briefly about this housing here, okay? There's a couple different ways that these machines are built, okay? One of them, you have a very thick steel plate welded here, and this section is not present, okay? So you just have this thick steel plate sticking out of the back of it, and then your sprocket here is not shaped like this. It's shaped like a bell, okay? There's a very deep recess to it, and if you have that style, you are going to have to take a very serious look at this plate and see if it's going to bend on you, okay? This is going to be present in some of the machines like the Cherry machine, C-H-E-R-Y. Okay, they don't have this additional reinforcement section. This one being an H12 from Agrotech, it is present, okay? So just keep that in mind, that if you have an issue with bending or whatnot, you got to take a look in here, all right? Also, this section inside of here is hollow. Let me bring you around here. This section is hollow inside of here. This is a place that moisture and dirt and corrosion can occur. So anytime you're doing any service on this or whatnot, just make sure you take all the stuff out of there. Now, before we go ahead and put this back together, I want to talk briefly about bolt torque when it comes to these machines. This bolt right here, it happens to fit a 13/16 head on it, but you can tell by the markings on it that is in fact a metric bolt, and it has a grade of 8.8. So we need to figure out what the standard bolt torque for this is supposed to be. A very easy way to do that is with Google. You just Google whatever size wrench fits on the head, figure out what the bolt is, and go from there. Another option is you go on Amazon, you buy yourself a metric little caliper here, And what you're going to do is you're going to measure the diameter of the bolt. Now this one right here comes up to, let's see, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is a 14 millimeter metric bolt. So we have an M14, and our thread pitch is going to be, looks like a 1.5. Yep, M14 by 1.5 with a gradness of 8.8. Now what you want to do is look up a standard bolt torque spec chart, which I'm going to do an overlay of here, and you will see that an M14 by 1.5 has a standard bolt torque assigned to it. When we put this back together, we're going to go ahead and torque these bolts to that specification to make sure they don't come loose. As we looked up in our chart here, we know that this is supposed to be torqued to 103 foot-pounds or 140 some odd Newton meters. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the torque wrench up to the appropriate spec. Our trusty Harbor Freight hasn't been calibrated in years torque wrench. Back in the good old days, remember when they used to do the 20% coupons in the flyers there? No more. Okay, there's 104. Go ahead and get this torque down. There we go. All right. Next step is going to be reinstalling our drive pulley. Okay, we have a keyway right here on the back side. You can't see it. We got a keyway over here. There's a keyway in the drive pulley. So what we are going to do, what I'm going to do, is just apply a little bit of anti-seize to the inside of the tapered section. That way, if inevitably this has to come off again, it will actually come off. We're going to go ahead and place the pulley on. And then we're going to take our castle nut. We're going to thread it onto the shaft, and we are going to torque the castle nut down also. Now, the big thing when torquing this is, yes, there probably is a torque value, but you also have to align the holes in the castle nut with the hole going through the spindle. So, you know, you can use your own judgment with how you want to tighten that down. I just say send it home and then get the thing to line up and you'll be good to go. We're going to go ahead and tighten this nut as far as we can get it. It looks like we can probably get one more. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, that's as tight as it's going to get. We're going to put our little cotter pin back on. Get it bent out so that it doesn't fall off, because we know the wheel is basically held on there by just the nut, and that's it. Okay. There we go. All set. So there we have it. We successfully removed and replaced our broken drive motor on our Agrotech H12 mini excavator. Now, some of you might have a slightly different setup, but the principles of doing this is going to be the same. All right. I know I've been promising everybody that I'm going to do the hydraulic oil cooler and the filter video, and it is coming. Stay tuned. I've got some stuff coming in from China that I think is going to help us out in the installation of the machine. So for now, I'm Cam Sweet from the Garage Connection, and you stay on those projects.